We're going to do this intro thing real quick.
Good luck.
Believe it or not, I don't think any of us are really drinking anything.
This is what happens when we don't drink. Is I'm just going to constantly interrupt Sammy right when he starts to get serious.
Hello.
What's he doing?
Hello and welcome to the PHP Roundtable, the first recording of 2018. What? I'm Sammy K. Powers, along with some other random people.
My name is Chris Tankersley.
My name is Joe Ferguson.
And they are saying the names of the other person. And later on, we are going to be joined by Amanda Folston. Folson.
Glad you take the time to learn your guests' names, Sammy.
Although I did just find out today that Chris' last name is Tankersley, not Tankersley.
It's only taken you how many years?
Is Tankersley, is that Elvish?
So I have to apologize for not having an episode this year because life happened to me. A lot of things happened in rapid succession that kind of prevented me from creating a podcast, which started with a dance event, then immediately getting sick, then moving to a different state, and then doing a solid month of travel, coming home to a flooded apartment. My apartment's fine, but the garage was flooded. And so, that's been my adventurous life at the moment.
You planned that well.
That's good timing, yeah. To come home to the flood, I mean, that's perfect.
That's a beautiful river. Oh, shit.
Why is it? I don't remember a lake in this. What's this water feature?
When did we install the pool?
Yeah, the pool got flooded, which was interesting. So
Wait, you're gonna
Can you flood a pool?
yeah, yeah, it had river water in it. It was pretty flooded, and now it's muddy. So, talking about floods on the PHP Roundtable. So, for those who are just joining us, or this is the first episode. Hopefully, this isn't the first episode. But if you've never heard of this podcast before, it's a little podcast
of all time
of developers discussing things that PHP nerds care about,
Like floods.
and not recording a podcast for the first quarter.
Not recording a podcast.
I mean, we could talk about DNS floods. That's kind of programming.
Yeah. Ooh.
True.
They're bad.
Are they though? How otherwise would you auto-scale your DNS server if you didn't get flooded?
I don't know. You just ramp up more Kubernetes clusters, right?
No, I would just spin up more Vagrant files. You don't run your... So it sounds like you don't run your DNS in Vagrant machines.
No, Vagrant's a stupid technology.
Why would you not run DNS in Vagrant?
Because it's a stupid thing to do.
Oh, well, that's probably a good idea. A good point, yeah. This checks out.
Cool story, bro.
Oh, and later on in the podcast, when Amanda arrives, we have a special reveal of the super secret project that everybody thinks I'm lying about, but it's so true. I'm going to show you proof of what it is, and then I want to hear your responses without actually saying the thing that it actually is.
Okay, so that's a great idea, but I think what you should do is you should tell Chris and I now, and then we spend the rest of the time until Amanda gets here mocking up something completely absurd and completely wrong that you drop on us as if it was the real thing and get her reaction. That is a lot of effort, though.
That is a lot of effort. It's a good idea.
So we're not going to do it then, are we?
Probably not.
It's probably for the best, yeah.
So the main topic that I thought we could get this party started because we brought it up at lunch and it devolved into why time zones suck. But the topic was about databases and application state, and what it is philosophically wise.
I mean, it has a pretty good definition. There's not much philosophy to what is state.
At what point does philosophy just become fact and recognized as a truth?
Sometime around 1 p.m.
What time zone?
We don't know. If only we had a database of time zones.
Is it standard time or daylight savings time?
It's all UTC.
UTC, as it should be.
Yes.
This one devolved much more quickly than the one at lunch. Although today is our spring forward. Today is spring forward.
Tonight, yes.
Tonight.
Oh, 12 a.m.
12 a.m. So technically tomorrow.
Ish.
And then tomorrow again.
Right.
For an hour.
Yeah, it just repeats. It's like Groundhog Day, but in 1 hour bursts.
Time travel's hard.
It is. And fun.
Have you tried to get a DeLorean to 88 miles an hour? It is pretty hard these days. They have not held up well.
It's true. I mean, you can only make a bucket of steel go so fast.
Yeah, so application state. Actually, you know what this whole kind of idea came up when somebody was showing me some code, and it had a list of hard-coded countries or states, and they were like, "What? This should be in the database." And I was thinking, I don't know. I kind of do it that way. I hard code some of that stuff. Like it's just like a static array. Why should it go in the database?
So are you going like full on pun here to where we're not actually referring to application state as the state of the application, but rather states as in physical locations within a country? Because you just might have blown my mind a little bit there.
Did you not get an answer to a Stack Overflow question, and this is your way of getting an answer?
Yes. That's the entire PHP Roundtable is Sammy's questions that get closed as off topic in the PHP Stack Overflow.
It's probably not too far from the truth. But okay? So first of all, how about this? Do you store, like, if you just had a form, you just need to list 50 states in the United States. Where do you put those states?
I would probably put it in config.
Like a YAML file? Or like a static array PHP file, or
whatever works for your application. You do your data your way.
So I feel like I have actually some insight here because way back in my early development career, I worked with a lot of e-commerce. So we actually paid for a service that kept up with international, not only local U.S. states and zip codes updates, but also international state and country code updates and all that fun stuff, because we would ship worldwide, anywhere FedEx or UPS would ship at least, and some places would just constantly be updating addresses and codes, and you couldn't put something like that in config because you wouldn't ever have an automatic update to apply there. So we would run a script that would connect to this off server thing, some API, early API. I mean, this is like early 2006. So it would go connect, download all the data, and then we would run a script against our database and update our database that way. And I would argue that in the database is probably not super efficient, but if you're tracking addresses for across the globe, that's probably a better way if you have some kind of auto-updating system.
I mean, a large part of it comes down to how often does the data change. For states, not that often. I'm pretty sure we haven't added a state in a while. Zip codes constantly change, so I agree you want to do that. One thing my application does is we constantly look up geolocation for IPs. That changes kind of often, so we store that actually in the system we use has its own database, so it's all stored there. We just download the new definition files for that, and then we always query that thing. We're never going to hard code this IP ranges for this country because it kind of constantly shifts, except for some very old ranges.
So that's still getting inserted into your database?
It's not inserted into our database. They keep a flat file database.
So it's like
it's the MaxMind GeoDB. They've got a weird binary format.
So it's okay. So this is like like a service layer that you have that you're querying, or okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't keep that hard coded as config.
Right.
It's stored in an easily updatable bucket of data.
So in other words, you could be hitting like an API that would give you the same.
We
data.
could. Yes.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I used to have a zip code system because when I used to do a lot of client work, we would constantly need to look up things like who's your given your address, what's your actual zip code so we can find your state representative for a lot of stuff, because we did a lot of stuff with nonprofits and petitions. That stuff changes constantly, and you get some weird situations where there's a couple cities in Ohio where they actually have 2 zip codes because the city is split down the middle of a zip code change, which is really annoying when you need to actually get things that are like county specific, because same city, 2 counties.
So if you ever want to fall victim to a scam, I highly recommend searching online zip code updating, because there are 1.5 million shady as shit websites that will take your credit card information and provide you quote unquote updated zip code information. And it's really hard to find an actual legit US zip code list unless if you try to find it on the actual government's website, which is buried somewhere in a SharePoint document, maybe.
That was why I built my own.
Yeah. So there's a lot of services out there that will do this for you. It's just kind of a lot of them are rather shady. So keep your credit cards safe out there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever used Smarty Streets or some sort of service to sanitize an address once it gets put in, just to make sure that you've got like an official USPS address?
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times, like if you're dealing with stuff that ultimately may be mailed out, or you need to have legit addresses, you want to use some sort of validation service But I mean that has nothing to do with data storage.
True.
So that's off topic.
It is off topic. In fact,
No, you're off topic.
to take it further off topic, Smarty Streets API is the address annotation third-party service or whatever for sanitizing addresses. But it was one of those services that helped me realize how integration tests. Was it integration tests? Yeah, we'll call it integration tests. It was like one of the first projects where I implemented codeception, and I was like I had all these. What do you call them? The stories.
Tests.
User stories?
Yeah, like the user stories, but
Acceptance
they call them,
tests?
Like, the feature acceptance tests.
Yeah, acceptance tests in codeception land, acceptance tests are different than feature tests and different than integration tests, whereas feature tests and integration tests are essentially the same thing. However, in codeception land, acceptance tests are actually running against a browser typically, whether it's the PHP driver, WebDriver, or something like Phantom.js, or you can even use Chrome headless now.
Yeah, it was the one that pulled up the browser and was like clicking around and filling out forms and stuff, and it was awesome because I just like had all these tests and like all these different scenarios testing this like donation form, and I was playing it. I'm like, yeah, these tests are like bulletproof, and we're gonna find any bugs and in every possible situation. And then like I did it a couple times as I was developing, and then about the fifth time that I ran all these tests, like each test has 100 different like situations. It's all the tests started failing, and I was like, "Oh crap, what happened?" And the Smarty Streets API hit a throttle limit. I was hitting real APIs every single time I ran a test.
Hitting real APIs while running tests. I think Chris Hart just shivered somewhere.
I mean, technically, you are running an integration test where you're testing all of your integrations. That's different than like a unit test where you shouldn't.
I'm pretty sure the same philosophy in unit testing where you don't test what you don't own still applies in acceptance and functional testing or feature testing.
I mean, we can agree that Sammy's a bad developer.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's true.
I didn't realize that was in question here. Because if that's in question, I'm on the wrong episode. I'm out of here.
I did admit earlier today that I manually provision my servers.
That's fine.
That's
fine.
why I went to
Everybody
Joe's talk.
starts somewhere.
Joe's talk today was about provisioning tools.
And then they see Joe's talk, and then they realize they should have used Puppet.
God, I hope not. I need to go back and alter that talk and drop a section.
Joe likes Ansible.
Yeah, I'm a big Ansible fan. If we're gonna dive into, can I just say that what was the Smarty thing? What was
Smarty Streets?
Smarty Streets. I'm really gonna be upset if I go and search Google for Smarty Streets and find out that there's not a Smarty templating plugin for the service.
I mean, it was last updated in 1995. But,
That is an old.
Is that before or after Smarty templating? I mean, it might. I guess it was probably before-ish. I don't know. I only use Smarty templates for a very short time.
I had to build a Smarty template engine for Zen, one of the really early versions of Zen Framework. So with that job, you're probably talking 2007, 2008.
Okay, so decidedly after.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I use Twig.
Thanks for ruining the joke, Joe.
That's what I'm here for.
Twig if it's a non-Laravel thing, and then it's Blade if it's Laravel. Those are pretty much the only two I use these days.
Yep.
Twig and Blade. There are others. They're the et al.
Plates is pretty awesome. I feel like Plates doesn't always get as much credit as it should.
Plates?
Plates, yeah, PHP Plates. It's essentially PHP templates. So it doesn't. So the only thing I don't like about Plates, where I learned this from Twig, where you want to limit how much domain logic in your application is in your views, right? You want to be doing queries or logic operations necessarily in your views. With Plates, you totally could because your templating is all PHP. You're just closing PHP around your HTML, what have you. I think that's a really strong foundation for somebody who's new getting into PHP. But these days, with so many full stack frameworks being readily available and such high quality these days, I feel like if you're going to be in Symfony or Cake, you're going to figure out you're going to use whatever their templating engine is, like Laravel. You said with Blade, Zen that even has Zen View, right? Is that still a package with?
Yeah, it's still there, but Expressive, like one of the options by default, is Twig.
Okay.
So, like, you can install Twig and have it automatically set up and running.
Yeah, so I feel like if you're getting into templating now, you should probably use Twig because Twig will kind of force you into some better practices with your views versus something that will, like Blade or Plates or something that will allow you to just execute whatever willy-nilly PHP you want.
And Twig, I find, is really portable. So, like, if you do need to change backend stuff, I mean, if you're changing frameworks all the time, you have another problem. But if you do have a situation where you need to reuse something, generally, it's just move a Twig template over. And I mean, Plates is the same way. I've never tried to use Blade outside of Laravel, but
So you're saying you're not changing frameworks often?
every 2 months.
Okay, I'm doing it every month, so I'm a little ahead of you, but I just want to make sure that's still the right way to do things.
Yeah, I have to put out all the fires first. I'm sorry.
Chris is too busy on Twitter for us, apparently.
Is my tweeting interrupting the podcast?
Sorry, did I break your concentration?
No, I got it all typed out.
Okay.
Oh, there's a. Is this?
Oh, and also it
Amanda?
typoed because someone had to interrupt my tweeting.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. You should read the DMs.
But I don't like group DMs because I don't use the official Twitter client as much as I can avoid it.
We all make bad life decisions. Mine's using the official Twitter client.
Okay, I was about to say, I don't think me using the tweet deck or whatever it is that I'm using, I don't think that is a bad life decision. I think that's actually for the best. Other than the fact that I don't see group DMs. So there's probably thousands of people, including me, in amazing intellectual conversations and just throwing money at me in these group DMs that I'm missing.
Or poop emojis.
Or poop emojis, yeah.
So what was the topic?
Poop emojis. And how we store them in our database.
You'd have to make sure you're using a Unicode
MB4.
correlation.
Yeah, UTF-8.
UTF-8,
Fine,
MB4.
Yeah.
You can't just do UTF-8. We learned that
Yeah.
in a podcast maybe like a year ago. We talked about that. I was shocked when I learned that.
I may have to go revisit that because the day job application has to support Farsi for some of our clients. So a lot of the questions that we've been getting through support are, do we support Farsi? And it's like, well, if they like reading backwards, because Farsi reads right to left versus English that gets printed out left to right. So one of the things that we may have to end up doing is, if we're displaying Farsi, we may have to figure out how we reverse the flow of the code, or not the code, but the text.
There's a function that does that.
Was it like string replace?
I have no idea. I'm just making that
like
up.
string flip.
There's a manual. Go check.
I thought there's an HTML tag. It's
maybe so.
It's
Maybe there's
know.
like a direction HTML.
It's like FT.
It wouldn't surprise me to find out there's an HTML5 tag that would handle that for you.
I think so.
gracefully. Yeah.
But I thought that was just sort of inherent of the actual character encoding itself, though. I thought
The direction, no, because your CSS could still left justify it, right?
But like
by
if
default.
you write in Arabic, for example, like that's gonna display right to left no matter what, right? Just because of
The characters will be, but your formatting may be. So think of like if you're reading a book and everything's right justified.
right,
The letters and text would still make sense. It just wouldn't look right, quote unquote right.
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 Left?
Correct.
Centered.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
now we're going to talk about CSS and how to horizontally center something.
Just find that GIF of from Family Guy with the shades. Just put that in here. We'll be silent for a few seconds.
Yeah, and the CSS mug that says CSS is hard and it has the D is like outside of the frame.
I gotta
Sammy
find
went
these
there.
now. This is great. I know exactly what you're talking about with the Family Guy thing, though.
Or the other CSS GIF that I love, that's the CSS will kill you, and it's the airplane, and it shows one row of the seats outside of the airplane because they have like another character in a vertical row. So it's like, and that always makes me think of George Carlin and getting in the plane and getting on the plane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, George Carlin says, fuck you, you can get on the plane, I'm getting in the plane. More CSS jokes? I mean,
CSS.
Usually I have my list of show notes so that it just keeps flowing, but we already.
this train wreck is not flowing at all.
No.
It's all good though because.
This is what happens when you get out of practice, Sammy. You can't
I
just
know.
go months without recording a podcast
And then
expect to have sober guests provide anything meaningful.
That's true.
No show notes, no alcohol. I don't know what he expected with this episode.
This is the worst episode of It's the Booze Talking I've ever been a part of. Sorry, Kathy.
She doesn't have to edit it. It's fine.
It's true. I'm the one who has to edit this one.
Sorry, Sammy.
So then I'm gonna do a video version, but I really want to. I'm excited to reveal this thing. Amanda needs to get here sooner.
So what was your Twittering about? Did you find out Amanda's ETA? I almost said Samantha, which is a completely different person.
No, but I just read her answer to my question. She says no promises because she's drunk. Ask me anything. So then I was going to say, why do ducks fly backwards? But my phone auto-corrected it to, why do sucks fly backwards? But then she says, because they swallows. You have the explicit tag on your thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was from the first minute. I was like, oh, this one's going to be an explicit one.
Oh, sorry. I have a potty mouth. So if Amanda's drunk, there is no ETA then?
No.
No, she's not drunk, or no, there's no ETA?
No on the latter.
Oh, which one's that?
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, I wasn't either.
No, she is drunk, so there probably is no ETA.
Okay, fantastic. So you should just tell us what's going on, and then you can cut out everything before this.
Yeah.
Except for the intro.
For sure.
And just trash that.
Yeah. Totally. Just cut all the PHP related only stuff in.
Leave the CSS jokes.
Leave the CSS jokes. That was good material.
That's still relevant.
Wouldn't want to waste that.
Because it's all about topics that PHP nerds care about, not necessarily just PHP.
Right. I mean, people pay good money for this kind of comedy.
Well, another idea for an episode, which might not be an entire episode, but things that nerds care about that don't matter. For example,
tabs versus
That's
spaces.
like an entire series of this.
That's a whole
That is a
series.
sub podcast of the PHP Roundtable.
Absolutely.
Can we just go through the PSR2 and
Yes.
We should just do a PSR2 episode and have it where people just gripe about their complaints about PSR2. But you're not allowed to gripe about tabs versus spaces. That's the only thing that's stricken from the record. You can't argue that point. You can argue the class brackets or function brackets on the same line or below all you want.
I mean, it's not tabs versus spaces; it's carriage returns.
/r/n.
Mm-hmm. So instead of four spaces, it's 4 carriage returns.
Nice.
So one tab would be 4 carriage returns.
Well, no, you should never use tabs.
So 4 spaces would be 4 carriage returns.
Yeah.
So it would be.
So spaces are greater than tabs. Carriage returns are better than spaces.
So then, the carriage return on Mac and Linux is what, 4 characters?
It's wrong because it doesn't use a real character set. So.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out if it would be 8 characters wide for a single tab with 4 spaces, or if it would actually still be 4 characters.
I don't know. I use a real operating system, so.
Oh, snap.
Oh, I didn't realize you moved to BOS.
Haiku is a relevant operating system even in this day and age.
Wow, where did you find an OS2 warp disk?
I had one for a long time.
We were reminiscing about old technologies.
We were. I had the binder with all the floppies for Windows 3.1.
Yeah. This was
All 72 of them?
Yep.
I do remember zipping up things across multiple floppy disks and getting viruses all the time. But I also remembered when on the back of the hard drive, the pins that you could remove and replace to turn it into master slave or auto or whatever it was.
That was the original superposition because you'd move those pins until it finally just magically worked. But you had to go through each pin 4 times before it was like, yay, it boots.
And wait for it to boot up.
Yeah.
And it really didn't matter because it was all dependent on if your controller supported any of that nonsense, right? Because many of them didn't for a long time. At least the ATA 66 controllers didn't.
And then it was amazing when the hard drives had the controllers on them instead of the days back when you had to have an external card.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It took up a whole.
Took up a
was
whole
it a PC?
slot.
It wasn't a PCI
ISA
slot. What is it?
ISA.
ISA.
Is it ISA?
Is it ISO?
That's how
I always said ISA.
ISA. Yeah,
Right,
it was
but
before
ISA,
PCI.
Yeah, but I mean, I call it PHP instead of anyway.
PCI, then PCI
programming
Express came out. I don't even know what they are now. PCI Express was the last
PCI
thing.
Express.
Was the last
It's
thing
still
I knew.
PCI Express. There's just
Is it
14
really?
variations. Yeah.
Oh,
They just add
snap.
more channels.
That's cool.
It's like cable TV.
So that's where your graphics card would go, for
It's more
example.
like DirecTV because I think DirecTV has more than.
I'm pretty sure they're losing channels if I'm to believe my in-laws. But yeah, PCIe, they just add more bandwidth and it works.
Cool.
Kind of like my ISP.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. ISP, add more bandwidth, pay more money.
I can't say anything. My ISP actually just gave me more bandwidth for no extra money. So.
No, I tried to give my my ISP more money, and they said because I was an existing customer, I could not give them more money and not get upgraded speeds.
So I could, and I'm gonna call out Spectrum on this because screw you guys. I could upgrade to the originally we had 60 meg. I could upgrade to the 100 meg if I wanted to pay a $200 install fee for them to basically punch a couple buttons on the computer. But then they magically gave me 100 megs for nothing. But now I can upgrade to 300 megs for a $200 install fee for them to push a couple buttons.
I would pay it because that's a lot. That's a nice upgrade. I would pay the 200.
Yeah, but then it's also like $150 a month.
Well, I'd probably still pay it.
And also,
I would pay it, and the
boop
wife would
should
yell
cost
at
me
me, but she would
$150.
hopefully get over it. As she nods her head no.
upgrade anyway.
Well, I can't. They won't let me unless I get phone service. And I'm
Cancel.
like, no, I don't want the phone service that's on my actual cell phone.
Cancel. 30 days later, sign back up.
That might be good.
Strategery.
So this episode is brought to you by Spectrum ISP in Bumblefuck, Ohio, wherever Chris lives.
For Spectrum, fuck you.
So
Was that their jingle?
Yes,
speaking
it's painted on their vans.
speaking of the things that developers care about and don't matter, Postgres, when you try to add a column, you can't insert it in a certain point in the list of columns. It just gets dumped at the end of the list. So every time you want to look at your table, you got this nicely formatted table with all the columns in the order that you normally have them, and then all of a sudden a bunch of appended columns at the end that obviously weren't there when you first created the table. What the hell? Postgres.
I mean, you shouldn't be referencing your columns by numerical position anymore, so it doesn't matter.
I only do that when they're in arrays.
It's PHP. Everything's an array.
Well, I'm starting to use objects, so
Those are just
Those are
glorified arrays.
Those are just arrays.
fancy arrays. But I type in on my array, so I'm actually PHP 7.2 compatible.
There you go.
I don't understand that. I don't have that level of OCD. It's I can
Wait, you
reference
don't
it
understand
fine.
type pinning? Because we can go down that rabbit hole.
It's not supported by PHP 5.2, so therefore I don't want to use it.
Well, one of these days, I will hope that your boss would finally allow you to upgrade WordPress.
But I like running Drupal 3.
I think Larry just got a shiver somewhere.
Well, he is in Chicago, so it's probably pretty cold.
I mean, it's cold here. We're north of Chicago. I mean, it's like 33 degrees here.
Yeah, we never mentioned we're actually at the Pacific Northwest, or
That's the wrong
sorry,
conference.
we are at the
Jesus,
Midwest
Sammy.
PHP. I go to so many things that I don't even know where I am half the time. We're in Minneapolis. I knew that much. It's cold.
At Midwest PHP.
At
Midwest
Midwest
PHP,
2018.
2018.
There we go. And we were just talking about Postgres and the columns being out of order.
And this is the PHP Roundtable.
This is.
Oh, crap.
And
I thought this was my podcast.
Oh, can we talk about the Switch now?
We can. I can go
Awesome.
get mine.
do it.
Dead air for 15 minutes.
While we figure out how to sync up the controllers for Mario Kart.
Something else I found out that developers really care about, trailing commas.
I feel very strongly about trailing commas.
Tell me about it.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably my OCD that when we're creating an item or adding items to an array, I do the square brackets on their own line. If I'm doing a lot of things, if I'm doing like more than one or two things, I'll do new lines around the brackets, and then I'll do value comma value comma value comma. And the trailing one, it always looks wrong to me for absolutely no good reason. I have no technological valid reason why that would look wrong, other than it looks weird when I do the same thing with a function method that has a long list. But that still is wrong to me now, and that's actually invalid syntax if you use a trailing comma. And
Not anymore.
There's an RFC, right? Did that get into 7.2?
It
or is that
passed. It's in 7.3 now.
7.3? Okay.
Yeah.
So you will be able to do trailing commas in method calls, which makes me unreasonably happy for that. Not
See, that it bothers me. I don't think in the function call you should have a trailing comma.
So should you have a trailing comma in the array, in an array?
I'm always fine with that because technically the array is just a list of things, but with a set of parameters, it's like there should be. I'm expecting something else to be there.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that's a valid argument.
I mean, you don't have to leave a trailing comma.
Right.
Not unless PSR 12 is it? That's the new code style. Unless that specifies you have to.
Yes, as a sponsor, I don't remember what that one is.
As a member project, I don't remember either.
I mean, I don't remember what the specification is for the trailing comma, but
I don't even know that they were.
It's probably not
brand
even in
new.
there.
It's
But
not-
I know that there is they're revisiting code style. So the PSR 12, I think it's 12, will be a replacement for PSR 2.
yes, yeah, PSR 12 will replace PSR 2. We've just been editing it, so the only parts I remember are the couple PRs I've done the last couple weeks, but I don't remember so there wouldn't be anything in there on the trailing comma.
Well, the main thing that
Stop changing the language, Sammy.
that I like, I know, it's the one thing I can do is touch the parser. The one thing that does allow you to do is for variadic functions, though, like the ones where you can have like unset or is set, like all those where you can send like tons of arguments. I feel like a trailing comma really makes sense, especially like unset. It's just like you have a list. Each argument's on its own line. If you're gonna do a big unset,
I mean, part of it is that it's always been a code smell up until 7.3. That if there's a trailing comma there, you're going to have a syntax error.
right?
But that's never been a problem with arrays, so I mean, that's probably why it bothers me.
And grouped namespaces.
Right. So I mean, after so long of having it a specific way, being like, yeah, we can leave stuff there, just seems wrong. Like it's always going to be a code smell for me that there's a trailing comma there.
So I started out this conversation having really strong opinions, and I feel like after hearing y'all's views on this that I really don't care.
It ultimately doesn't matter.
Because so I still feel like that in a method call or in a variadic function that it still looks weird with a trailing comma, but I am diehard that my array is going to have a trailing comma on the last item.
Yeah,
And I don't know why I have such strong feelings about that, but I could care less about methods.
cleaner diffs.
True story. Yeah.
When I was your age, we took the commas off and had 2 lines of differentiation. And
When
the
I was
diffs.
your age, we didn't have this fancy bracket array syntax. We typed out array and loved it.
we used keystrokes.
What's
like
source
crazy.
control?
Yeah.
CVS wasn't just a pharmacy back then.
CVS and CSV gets me messed up all the time.
But you know
Comma
CSV
separated-
is not the version
it's-
control system.
I know it's the comma separated values, and I always, because I'm mildly dyslexic, so whenever I'm talking about,
I keep calling CSV and they don't have a prescription ready. Those bastards.
it's like, where's my data? Why is it not formatted properly? Do you have a
Because it's
prescription?
tab separated.
Yeah, what's
there
up with
are
that?
plenty of places that use tab separated, and it
terrifying.
bothers me.
It's terrifying.
So many enterprise APIs. Let's do this tab separated or fixed field lengths. No.
Oh, I've seen that's
Fixed
old
field
school.
links, yeah.
That's really old school. It's like kind of one of the first data files I ever dealt with was a fixed.
That's how old DB2 did it.
Because, with that you had to actually... Was that a scenario where you grabbed X bytes and that whatever came back in that byte was the value?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have some PTSD about some old Perl scripts that work like that.
Perl. I did that.
Yeah.
Once.
I did that once. Now look where I am.
No, I know.
It's a gateway drug.
It's
Perl is how Sammy got into dancing, actually.
yes, probably actually. No, but it was like CGI script, old school way to execute Perl, like back in the day.
Way back in the day of CGI, when you could execute Perl or VB script, or what was it? There was some third scripting language that would that CGI supported natively. That was really it was VB script, which was Microsoft's implementation of CGI. There was Perl, and then there was some other CGI-ish thing early in the days, and I can't remember what the third one is.
I don't remember, but one of the apps I was maintaining was still using PHP CGI up until last year.
Yeah, did you do?
Nice.
Yeah, it technically worked.
That is a SAPI that does not exist in PHP 7, correct?
It was PHP 5.4.
Right.
No, that SAPI does not exist to my knowledge in 7.
No, it's all fast CGI now.
Because I think it was I guess that was deprecated in 5.6 or 5.5.
I mean, you
and then
should
removed in
not have
7.
used it for a very long time.
Right.
But
Well, I do know that when 7
I have
came
some
out,
servers to update.
I think we only have like 4 or 5 SAPIs right now in the current like 7.0 and up, because it used to have like a ton of SAPIs.
I really
in there.
enjoy the word sappy because whenever I use it, my boss looks at me funny because he doesn't necessarily get the reference all the time, so he has to think about it. And it's like, yes, I am throwing around big words.
Sappy. SAPI.
It's only 5
Yes.
letters. That's not a big word.
So how would you? Okay, since we're talking about this, how do you pronounce JSON Web Token JWT?
JWT.
I agree, JWT. But I recently was up in Portland speaking at a conference. Then I was hanging out with a good friend of mine, and I'm trying to remember how he said.
Was it Jot?
Jot, yes.
That's how I say
Jot. That is what he said, because
Jot.
the first 10 minutes that he was talking about Jots, I thought that it was this new thing that I hadn't heard of, and I was like, JWT, J-O,
There's
J-A-U-T?
J-O-U-H-T? Jote?
Jot.
no,
It's like it's adding a vowel
Hold
sound
on,
when
I need
there is
to
none.
jote down some notes.
but no, that's not how language works.
But that's how
I mean,
you
I
say
understand
it.
the argument between GIF and GIF because that's all the same letters.
That's Greek and French origins, right? That's like the ultimate.
well, one's wrong, one's right.
Well, no. So we're going down this rabbit hole. Fuck it. The best explanation of GIF versus GIF that I've
That's my girlfriend texting
fantastic. So like the best description is well. So there's first the typical GIF that people see where it's GIF. It's not GIF because of all the other words that sound like GIF versus Jif the peanut butter. And then there's somebody else came out and actually did some etymology and pointed out that graphics interchange, the graphic word actually came, I want to say, from Greek to where it actually is the hard GR. So it's Greek graphics. And then GIF.
Sorry. I love how we're going to the etymology of the word for GIF or GIF or whatever the hell you say.
But the other, so GIF, the other one was so the hard GR was Greek, and the other one was French, where they pronounced it as soft G, or the J was pronounced.
Waffix, is that how they pronounce it?
Yeah, Waffix. Bugs Bunny original. Yeah, you go back far enough. Bugs Bunny is the root of all etymology. That's what I learned taking 0 years of Latin in high school. But no, it actually made a lot of sense, and I know I'm butchering it, and some etymologist somewhere is going to hear this podcast for whatever reason and be like, "Oh my god, that guy's retarded," and it's true. But
You're right, it's GIF, not GIF.
Correct. Yes, and it's and what I'm trying to get at, and I hope this gets edited out to hell.
We're going to follow this road to the end.
Yeah, we're riding this horse till it dies.
I want off Mr. Bones' wild ride.
So it's GIF because of the hard G based on the Greek etymology of the words and the letters versus GIF, the peanut butter, being J-I from French.
I still don't understand the O in JWT.
That's total bullshit.
It's
Yeah.
Jat?
Jot.
Jot?
No,
I guess it could be an O.
It's gotta be
I think
an
a
O.
J-A-U
Either way, there's no A
W-H-T.
or O
with the silent H in it.
in that abbreviation, so it's JWT.
Okay, so that's
Let's go find
Jot.
the async guy who
What-
gave the talk on it earlier today.
He says that was Adam
Yeah, it was.
Erlanger.
Mhm.
Is that his
Englander.
Englander.
Englander. Yeah, I think he says JWT.
I'm pretty sure he's not from England though. I don't know how that's all about.
I wasn't paying attention to his talk, so
Wait, what did you say, Joe?
I'm pretty sure he's not from England, so I don't know
From
what all that's
England.
about.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
He's not very English.
He just doesn't have a fancy
He's
accent.
very tall for an Englander.
Are English people short?
I don't know. Are you making
Gary's pretty short.
Gary is pretty short.
I thought
but
he was
also doesn't
Welsh.
speak English, so
The Welsh keeps getting in the way.
What was
fish and
it? Oh,
chips.
okay. Here's another one for you.
Insert sheep joke.
How do you pronounce cross-site request forgery?
CSRF.
What do you say?
I will, and I don't know if it's because I'm from the South or because
What's the etymology of this one, Joe?
welcome to the PHP Etymology Roundtable. I'm your host with zero etymology experience, except I read
How do you spell etymology?
like I just ate something, like we just ate dinner. So, sorry, CSRF. And I don't know if because I learned so much from reading books because that I always say the letters, like JWT has always been JWT to me because I learned from reading, and CSRF is always going to be CSRF to me, but I will catch myself saying surf. as a not necessarily a surfboard, but literally a hard C or a softish C.
That one at least makes sense.
I'm good with phonics, I promise. So yeah,
phonics
yeah, I totally agree that surf for CSRF is definitely 100% better than Jot is for JWT.
Right.
I say sea surf.
Sea surf?
But what if you need to use
is
it
it
on
like
the ocean?
are you saying sea surf like a sea level surf in medieval times would serve somebody as a surf? Like that was actually a position?
Is there a distinction between those at sea level and slightly above sea level?
Always. Because the people slightly above sea level are higher.
Why are you so classist?
No, it's altitude. They're above sea
Why
level.
are you so altitudist? Did you assume my altitude?
I did assume your altitude. I assumed it's lower than mine because I'm tall and you're short.
All right, here's another one. Cross-site scripting.
XSS.
XSS. I hope nobody is ever trying to do a.
No, that's not a word. Not even.
You gotta check for zzz exploits.
No.
Whenever I try to read it,
Did you learn programming from a snake?
Python developer.
Oh, that was perfect.
I cannot believe it took that long to go there. I mean, you just
great.
set it up and I just slammed it home.
All right, cryptographically secure pseudo random number generator.
C-Spring. Do you not go to his talk? You are a bad podcast guest.
He's a
Go to your
lovely
talks.
podcast.
I know. That's fine.
except your Docker talks.
I don't want to go to my talks.
Okay, what about?
Yeah, so C-Spring is definitely still a C-Spring. I don't know what you could do. I was trying to find something funny with that. I don't really know.
Yeah,
I mean,
that one's-
C-Sprung. That's like C-Spring in the past tense.
That's after you generated it.
Right. Yeah. So you will see spring, but you have C-Sprung.
It's almost sprung.
Yeah, and if you see spring too hard, you see sprunked, or you're C-Sprunken.
No, then
Sprunk
you
is
just
not here.
Then you just seg fault. Pseudo random number generator.
Pring? I've never abbreviated that.
I didn't realize we were gonna be playing like Wheel of Fortune or some shit, or Hangman or.
This is the worst game of fibbage
I'm,
ever.
I'm just really interested in the way that because all developers say these things differently. You know,
I've never heard anybody shorten that down to
I've seen
an
it
acronym.
abbreviated, but I don't think I've heard anybody say it.
Well, so how you pronounce words? I mean, this is definitely a larger thing than I think. This is a cultural thing, not just a developer thing, because there's this saying that I've always heard that a friend of mine always likes to point out is the people that mispronounce words typically mispronounce them because they read them or learned them from a book versus having somebody teach them the word.
Right.
So I mispronounce tons of words because I read a lot when I was younger and in school, and I didn't have, I guess, a lot of eloquent teachers. Maybe I don't know.
Wait, they were all doctrine teachers?
Do what? Deep out doctor teachers? Yeah.
No, they were all doctrine teachers. Because if you only had eloquent teachers,
Yeah. So it was, when I was in school, it was definitely convention over configuration.
Did everybody have to sit at the same table?
Oh, absolutely not. There was definitely a table over here for other people that didn't like eloquent. Or who were not eloquent. They were not compatible with eloquent. They couldn't keep up.
They were the normal people.
No, they couldn't build the relationships with eloquent. Foreign keys couldn't save them. I mean, we tried to pivot table, but it just didn't work. After 2 pivot tables, you just kind of say, fuck it. I mean, how far do we
I agree with that. Are we back to the database?
we are. I think we've come full circle.
What's an appropriate number of pivot tables?
None.
Okay.
Unless you have many through.
And then you just need to switch to graph database.
I guess, yeah. So I guess how many pivot tables would it take to equal a graph database?
I think it's 2, right? Isn't that like where the actually
I
gets
guess-
exponentially crazy?
I guess if you do the math, if you follow the math, yeah. If you follow the graph algebra, which I could never do, but yeah, I think it would be 2 pivot tables or two relations, 2 direct edges or relationships. You'd be better off doing a graph.
How do I do this in Mongo?
It's like Snapchat for databases.
It's web scale for databases.
I didn't need that data anyway.
CSS.
CSS.
I'm sorry. Cascading style sheets.
Right. CSS.
I messed it up.
Back to Python. No wonder CSS works so much better in Python. It's amazing in Django. You don't even actually have to write CSS. You just like hiss into a microphone and it writes your layout for you.
But if you're doing Django, you're not really doing Python. It's the most un-Pythonic thing I have ever seen.
That's fair, yeah.
Pythonic. Nice.
Yeah. In a former life, I was a Pythonista.
Is that like a Starbucks?
No. It's like a PHPer, I guess, would be the closest thing.
You just drew pictures in the code and called out names.
No, I don't use Visual Basic or SharePoint.
Are there any other acronyms that you turn into word sounds these days?
No.
Yes, I'm sure there are. I'm certain there are.
PNG. Is it
ping?
Is it ping
No,
or is it PNG?
It's PNG.
It's ping.
Is it ping?
Really?
So I can just go in PNG and IP, and it'll tell
Yeah.
me. It'll give me a graphical representation
Yes, it
of my
does.
latency.
What about where extensions for PHP go to die?
Pickle?
Pickle.
Are we
Not
sure
to be confused with pickle.
Are we sure
Pickle
it's
is
not pickle?
No, pickle is an installation tool. Peckle
Right,
is where
Peckle.
they live.
But I can hear Elizabeth Smith all the way in Michigan screaming at the top of her lung, "But the logo is a pickle."
It is.
But it's not Peckle Rick.
Is-
It's Pickle Rick.
Is that the bad decision PHP made that we're going to argue about?
Oh wait, I didn't realize I didn't realize this was the roundtable of bad PHP decisions.
No, you have Peckle. Pickle is the tool to install things from Peckle, and then you had Pear, which had a pear, because it's literally spelled pear. I don't think there's any
But
discussion about that
pickle
one.
has a logo of a pickle.
No, Peckle has a logo.
Pickle
of a
has a logo of a pickle. Pickle
But-
I don't think has a logo, does it? I don't think I've ever actually used Pickle. I've used Peckle to install
I've only
tons
used
of
it a
things.
couple of times.
Yeah.
I didn't know that pickle was available yet. I thought it was still under development.
It's still under development.
It's like
but
Composer
you can use
for
it.
PHP
It's like Composer for
extensions.
extensions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it. It works.
The fact that they named it pickle is a little confusing because pickle,
But
as you all say,
there's
peckle.
already a Peckle command, so you can't have one and they're both named Pickle or
If
Peckle.
you really just want to cause a giant dumpster fire, just go create a pickle command that is PECLE. That would be the PHP equivalent of
if you would
mixing
come to my bash
Skittles
talk,
and
you would know how to
M&Ms.
make aliases. That's a lie. I didn't talk about aliases.
I already do know how to do aliases. I alias all the fun stuff.
Okay.
all the git commands.
Some of the git commands.
I had a git command shortcut git delete branch, and it was GDB, and it didn't help when I wanted to debug something.
Fantastic.
So that
I tried to
alias got
debug something and I kept committing. I don't know what's going on.
My branch
No, all of
keeps
my code
deleting.
disappeared.
Where'd
I
all my
swore
work?
I made these changes.
Okay, so you know what? We might have to just do the big reveal, and then act surprised when she gets here.
I'll probably forget by the time she gets here. So
All right.
It depends on what the reveal is.
my
All right.
surprise will be genuine.
So
It could just be a picture of Sammy. I've been working on these.
It's a hand-drawn picture of Sammy.
I got you all dance leotards. Here you go.
all right, so this
I would own that shit. You better watch out.
I'm gonna have to edit this, and especially the video version because they'll be able to see it. But this is the thing that I think I announced like a year ago. That like, oh, there's this big secret project. I'm really excited. It's like the biggest thing that you've ever seen in
Is
a
this
PHP.
the thing that you did you got all the artwork for that you ended up using for the PHP Test Fest? Was that supposed to be for this?
The what?
The artwork that you had made up for the PHP Test
Oh.
Fest, was that supposed to be originally for this secret project?
No, that was actually
Okay.
for a different project. But that's a really good guess.
Okay.
Oh wait, I should say I cannot confirm or deny that.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. The proof is in the bag. So without
is a
using
very large bag.
descriptive terms,
I don't know that I'm ready for this.
are you ready for this? Dun, 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 dun.
Holy shit.
What What are we revealing?
Absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, this is the last PHP Roundtable that Chris will be a part of.
He murdered Sammy how quickly?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Take all of my money.
Yes.
Oh my god, that is amazing. Although the logo needs to be bigger to go along with your gigantic stickers. Hopefully that doesn't give away too much. Maybe the listeners will.
I'm going to point out, as the guest who's been on your podcast the most times, I want one.
I think we can arrange that.
I hope you do a decent run of these because this would be awesome. I know they're expensive, but
They are.
We weren't supposed to live stream this?
I hope it's not live streaming.
No,
My disk is almost full. I thought I had more memory.
Well, that's different than hard drive space.
That's so true.
You mean I'm not supposed to keep my database tables in RAM?
No, actually, you're supposed to.
Oh, shit.
That makes them quicker.
Well, since we did the big reveal, Amanda's not here, and my hard disk is about to fill up. Not my memory.
Right.
Although it is solid state, so it's still not memory, but kind of the
Can
same
you
thing.
overwrite a solid state drive? I don't think so. I think that'd probably end badly.
No, you just hit the end.
So, no, it wouldn't end badly. You would just hit the end and it would end.
The file system would just fill up. There's not a...
I wasn't sure if
There's
that
not
was
a
a brilliant
wall.
troll response to my statement or just a haphazard fuck off.
little from column A, a little from column B.
Fair enough.
There's not a wall where the data's like running toward it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there is. It's called the end of the drive.
So, since we're wrapping up, do you all have anything you'd like to close out with, a shameless promo?
Buy my book.
Dockers for...
Docker for Developers.
Genetic-
Linkpub.com/Docker for Developers.
Nice.
Or Docker for Devs. I don't know my own URL. Just
Google it.
go to learningcontainers.com. There's links to buy shit there.
I've bought the book twice. It's not that bad.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, it's all right.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode, which I hope is happening soon after I revamp the website to make scheduling easier, which will help me get these episodes actually scheduled instead of spending months at a time trying to schedule them and coordinating schedule between 5 people at a time and never making it work. So the new website that I'm going to be investing in will help me do that, so it's much faster and we can get more consistent recordings for the new year. And I can't wait to reveal this to the whole world, this big reveal.
It's going to blow your mind, people. It's life-changing.
I
I'm now a man.
I love Joe's reaction when I pulled the proof out. It was great.
Was well played.
All right, we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to save your game.
Nah. Wait, do I just press stop?
Yes, just...
About what it actually is. I want to show you what it is. You ready? Here it is. Boom.
What?
Ooh.
How did you?
Ta-da!
Holy shit.